out here for another social experiment. We'll basically get started. Hopefully, it'll be about 45 minutes or so out here. Hopefully, the audio is working and everything is going technically smoothly. And before I get started, for anyone who's not familiar with this type of outreach, it's based on the legendary Chip from That Chip Guy, formerly known as Vegan Power Lab on YouTube. And basically, I just hold a sign that says that I'm running a social experiment and then inviting people to participate. And then I'm going to ask them a series of questions. Sometimes I might go into it just with the introduction that I'm an animal rights activist. I've seen Chip doing that more, and I like that method. Kind of cuts to the chase a little bit. I've also been kind of working out the kinks a little bit with this microphone setup. I think last time it was a little bit too loud, which was last night, so I'm holding it a little farther away today. So just slowly kind of refining the process a little bit. So I will go ahead and get started. Like I said, probably just be out here for about 45 minutes or so, hoping to have maybe like 3 good conversations. But without further delay, I will go ahead and get started. And I have some literature with me from Vegan Outreach, so it's the Compassionate Choices Guide. And I'll just go ahead and start holding the leaflet or the sign and hope that some people start coming in. It is a beautiful day out here. Got a nice little breeze. Lots of people out and about. Blue skies. Air feels pretty clean. Getting some weird looks, but no one biting yet. What is this YouTube bro doing? Lots of lovely people walking around. Easton, welcome to the stream. People are walking by thinking, do I want to be filmed? Do I want to risk getting canceled? Hey, Cosmic. A lot of uncertain looks. Hey, Juju's Gaming. Some people look annoyed. Some people look fascinated. Some people just look very curious. Good to see you all here. So my record that I've waited with the sign without anyone stopping is about 6 minutes. I think right now, oh man, it's windy today. I almost lost my my tripod. Let me see if I can. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't do that again. Geez, that was kind of bad. Let me rotate. I can't really rotate it. Okay. Hopefully that was just a one and done wind blowing event there. But yeah, I think right now I'm at about 3 minutes without anyone stopping. Yesterday it was like pretty immediate the moment I was done with the conversation. We'll see if some momentum picks up. It's kind of early too. It's 10:30 in the morning here in Chicago. Maybe I'll try leaning this kind of against the post here. I think that'll help. Okay. I think that still works. Thank you for being here, those who are here. If you're tuning in, we're just getting started. No one has stopped by yet. seem very busy this Saturday morning. Everyone's got places to be, dry cleaning to pick up, babies to walk, sights to see. Places to be. So still waiting for the first conversation. I think I'm about to break my record for longest time that I've waited with the sign. But that's okay. Sometimes it's good to get comfortable with discomfort. Just have to make sure it's the sign upside down or something, but it is not. And it says, "Come participate in a social experiment." I'm at a slightly different spot today, mostly because of the sun. I might try moving. If no one stops within a couple of minutes, I think I'm going to try moving. Yeah, I might try moving in a minute. Just trying to avoid a spot where we had that confrontation the other day. Okay, I think I'm going to move. So we'll get to go on a little journey together. Vegan journey. Thank you for being here. If anyone is here, it seems like no one isn't at this time, but I'm just going for it here. See if we can spread some vegan propaganda today. I'll maybe try a slightly more secluded spot. Should I maybe stay on the main road? You know what? I think the issue is that I'm running from the sun, and that does not end up well, I think. So I'll just be in the sun. Okay. Maybe people just don't want to be in the shade today. They want to be out in the sun. I think the humidity has kind of broken a little bit too the last couple days. It's been very, very hot and humid here in Chicago. I am getting more attention here than I was by the bus stop, so I think that's a good sign. Would you like to participate in a social experiment?
What kind of experiment?
Well, it's a secret. You got to participate to find out.
What I get? What I get from it?
Hopefully, a different way of thinking.
Well, it could be a trigger.
A what?
A trigger.
A trigger? Could you explain what you mean?
I mean, a trigger to make me think, some a negative.
It could potentially. It's a little bit of a sensitive subject.
What's the subject?
You got to participate to know. That's the key. I could just tell you too. So, I'm an animal rights activist. By the way, I'm live on YouTube. I'm live streaming right now. But basically, I'm an animal rights activist, and I'm wondering if people think that other animals, assume, considering that we're humans, if other animals deserve rights. Would you like to share any thoughts?
I mean, when we look at the creator of the universe, I mean, he gave everybody the right to choose right from wrong. I mean, only God can answer that question. I mean, man is not the author of making the decision whether to be right or wrong. I mean, God is not the confusion of right and wrong. It is what it is. He says that all humankind is precious and all souls belong to him. So with that being said, who am I to judge?
Yeah, I guess if I could ask, do you think that other animals are also protected by that kind of like covenant? Like, would a cow, chicken, turkey, fish, would they be considered precious as well, like children of God, so to speak?
100%. I mean, if it wasn't so, then they wouldn't have been created. There's a purpose for everything. God didn't make no junk.
I really like that perspective. I'd like to give you some more information. So this has just some information about what I'm promoting here, which is basically animal rights in the form of veganism. So it's basically living in a way where we refrain from using animals as much as we can in our day-to-day lives. So just making choices that respect that, the creation, so to speak. So I encourage you to look into it. And then if you're, there is some, by the way, there is some imagery in there that might be considered disturbing. So just do keep that in mind. It's mostly not very graphic, but there might be some things that are a little bit upsetting. But the awesome thing is that we have the ability with our choices to at least feel really good about what we're doing. Like I'm out here speaking up for these victims. I'm not getting paid for this in any way. It's just something that I feel really passionate and strongly about. So yeah, thank you for stopping by. And there's a guide that you can sign up for there, Vegan Starter Guide, at the end if you decide to kind of take that step. Thanks so much. What was your name?
Dominique.
Dominique, I'm Haas. It's great meeting you.
You have a nice day.
You as well. Thanks. Enjoy your weekend. That was a nice conversation. I'm gonna get back to holding the sign and hopefully have some more. I think this spot in the sun is a little better, even though I am right in the sun. Hey, James, good to see you here. It's been a little slow to get some momentum going here, but doing my best. Occasionally pretending that someone's watching, even if no one is. But that's all right. It's all right. I will keep spreading this message. I figure, I have like 15 waking hours in a day, and I was already out and about. So I figured I could just spend, 45 minutes or so just breaking out the little activism kit and see what kind of conversations I can get going. Yeah, it's been a little bit slow. We're at almost 14 minutes in the stream. I've only had one brief conversation. But hopefully some more people will start stopping by soon. Do it. By the way, James, if you are here, I checked my email, I believe, this morning, and I haven't gotten what you were going to send, I think, but unless you sent it just recently, in which case I haven't had a chance to see it. I think this is a pretty good spot. No one's stopped in the last couple minutes at least, but I think this is a good place to stay compared to the first one. It is kind of windy. Weather is great. James, but it is a little windy. I have my tripod almost blow over, but hopefully it'll stay, and I might slightly relocate it actually. Some curious looks. Okay, thanks, James. I will definitely check it out. I'm moving the tripod a little bit. Okay, I think we are now officially wind resistant. Yeah, been a little slow. I think this might be a record for me in terms of the least number of conversations in the most amount of time. But it'd be like that sometimes. I do have at least another half an hour I can spend out here, but I don't know. What do you do if you're just standing out here and no one comes for a long time? I don't know. I could tell you guys, ask you guys like a riddle or something. I could tell some. I could make up a story, like some kind of impromptu story. I could tell you guys about something totally random. Hey, you want to participate in a social experiment?
Sure. What
All right,
happens?
great. So we are live on YouTube, just so you know.
Sure.
So basically, I'll just ask you a series of questions and then kind of see your take on it, and then maybe hopefully get you to think a different way.
Okay.
I'm not asking for any money or anything. It's just something I'm doing just for fun.
Cool.
All right, cool. So what's your name?
James.
James. Cool. I'm Haas,
Nice
and
to meet you.
nice to meet you too. So I'm wondering if you've heard of the term oppression.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm wondering if you have an idea of what it means.
When when there's a power like pushing down on people.
Yeah. So I'd ask you just a series of alternate kind of varieties of situations where there may be some oppression happening.
Yeah.
Like if the oppression says that, or if the oppressor says that they're more physically powerful than the ones they're oppressing, would that make it justified?
No.
Okay. How about if they've been doing it for a long time?
No.
How about if it's part of their culture?
No. Morally, no.
Yeah. And how about, or maybe ethically, no? And how about if the ones that they're oppressing are basically so unintelligent that they don't know that they're being oppressed, but they're still experiencing harm?
Ethically, morally, no.
Okay, great. So given all that, I guess I'll cut to the chase. So I'm an animal rights activist, and I'm
Yeah.
wondering what you think about the animals who are forced into slaughterhouses and non-human animals, farmed animals in general. If you think that they're capable of being victims under this kind of logic tree of oppression.
Yeah, I think so. I think they are victims. Are you vegetarian?
So I'm a vegan of 12 years, but I'd like to keep the focus more like on the victims.
Yeah.
So do you think that when we are forcing them into slaughterhouses, for example, that we're doing something if we're against oppression in the human context that goes against our own values?
It's a tough one. I feel like it's not a yes or no answer. Because I believe in eating meat. I think humans should be eating meat, but there's a better way to do it. Like slaughterhouses, some of them just seem a bit psychotic.
So what do you think about just the idea of like some idyllic farm where you're raising an animal, giving them a great life, treating them well, giving them massages, belly rubs, the best nutrition, etc. And then you decide basically when their life is over and you give them a death that nobody would ever give, like their dog or cat, who gets it like a needle in the arm. You cut them with a knife.
Yeah.
Would that be something that you
That
consider?
second part isn't right. Like, give them a humane death.
What would that look like, a humane killing?
I don't know. I'm not the one to make these decisions, but like just a way. Like,
I guess what would you want?
We need to eat.
If you were in that position?
I wouldn't want to know I'm going to die.
Sure, but I guess how would you want to be killed if
You
you were?
shoot me in the back of the head or something.
Okay, I understand. I mean, I know it's kind of a grim topic, but I guess I'm wondering kind of like if you think that would be ethical to rob someone of their life after having basically enslaved them or treated them like property.
I think in life, certain things aren't like as black and white like that. And I mean, go back 1,000 years maybe. We have to eat food, right? We still have to eat food.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, some people do say that it was a necessary evil. I would posit that if something's no longer necessary, then we're just left with evil, basically.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
I don't want to keep you from your day, and I know
Yeah.
you're with some friends, but I'd like to just give you some literature if I could. Are you Australian, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. There's some really great animal rights activists in Australia too. If you've ever heard of
Yeah.
like Tosh Peterson, for example.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
My uncle owns a farm though, where they look after like retired racehorses that were going to get killed, but he brings them on the farm, like gives them like a second life.
I see.
So I do believe in all this stuff, but I do eat meat.
I understand. And I did for a long time too. I've been vegan for the last like 12 or so years, but before that, I ate all the meat, cheese, fish, eggs, all that
Yeah.
stuff. But also, I'd encourage you to check out a documentary called Dominion.
Okay.
It's at WatchDominion.com. It was released at least in 2018, and it's an undercover investigation into Australian factory farming.
Yeah.
So basically
Yeah.
shows the process of slaughter.
That's hectic.
It's very, very difficult to watch, but I
Yeah.
consider myself kind of gainfully traumatized as a result of watching it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd encourage you to check it out. And
Awesome.
appreciate
You're
you
doing a good
stopping by,
thing.
James. Thanks.
All right. See ya.
All right.
Where can we find this?
Find what? Sorry. Oh, the video.
Yeah, where
So
you-
I'm on YouTube. It's Haz Vegan. It's HAZ
Nice to meet you.
and then vegan.
Nice to
one
meet you,
word.
guys.
Likewise. All right. Take care, guys.
Successful day. Take
Thank
care.
you. Enjoy your day. All right. We got some more people here. It's Buddy Taco. Hey, good to see you. We have Nerds Like Us. James says veil is on nice and tight. Great combo. It will steep with them. I think it was it was a short conversation. It's difficult when I get into the kind of like humane type thing to not just flip it on the person, but sometimes I guess that's what you need to do to kind of like ask them how they would feel in that situation. So it was what it was. And James says I have to go. All right, take care, James, and yeah, see you tomorrow. James and I will be on a live stream tomorrow together. All right, here I go. You gotta always hand it to people for stopping. It takes a certain type of at least open-mindedness for someone to be willing to stop and have a chat. What type of vegan diet do you mainly follow? Says It's Buddy Taco. I guess you could say I follow a gluten-free vegan diet. I have for a few years, so that's probably the most unique characteristic about it. I try to follow a mostly whole food plant-based diet. I do eat a lot of fruit in general, and very low oil, like low oil and low saturated fat. On the most part, therefore I try to avoid like vegan cheeses and stuff like that. Like stuff with a lot of saturated fat, I stay away from, or like added sugars, added oils. I would say my diet is quite healthy. Mostly whole plant foods, but I do eat tofu and tempeh, and the occasional like black bean burger, vegan burger, that kind of thing. As long as it's not made from like seitan. So I like pea protein, that kind of thing as well. Hopefully that answers your question. So I'm a big fan of the no oil stuff. That's one of the bigger things I would say as well. I'm not opposed to consuming fat personally, like in my own diet, but I try to keep it from whole plant food sources, so like nuts, avocados, and then it's Buddy Taco says, is dairy considered vegan? Dairy from, if you're talking about from cows, like stealing milk from cows, would not be considered vegan because we can't get consent to take that from cows. We can only, for a baby who's breastfeeding from their mom, whether that baby is a cow or whether that baby is a human, there's no issues with veganism as far as that's concerned. But when it comes to humans stealing milk from other animals, then that would not be. Okay, so I got about 20 more minutes here, and we'll see who else we can get to stop by here. Sometimes the best thing I can do for people to stop by is just to stop talking and just make eye contact. Let's hope that the right people will come at the right time. I've thought about this a lot, and I hope to talk about this with James tomorrow as well, but I'm kind of unsure as to whether it's like a net benefit or not for me not to have any kind of like indication that I'm vegan as I'm holding the sign. Like, any indication of this being about animal rights. Because a lot of people are walking by and theoretically, hey Greg, good to see you. If I had something that was like, blatantly animal rights or veganism related, it might get some more people thinking. It might expose more people to information. Right now, they have no idea what the social experiment is. Like, for all they know, I could be asking someone to balance like a little ball on their nose or something like that.
Yep.
So it is a little bit. It's a little bit troubling, I guess, when you think about the best use of your time potentially. Oh, we got somebody playing cello. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Sounds nice. There's not a lot of stoppers today. This was a pretty impromptu stream. I'd been thinking about streaming today, and then I did a little bit last night, and I thought, well, I guess that was it. And then today I was like, no, I have some more time. Just trying to get in as much advocacy for the animals as I can while the weather's nice here. I'm thankful for whatever amount of melanin I have in my skin because it is very sunny. Yeah, kind of a slow day. That's okay. Can't always be going 100%. So I appreciate anybody who's hanging in there in the stream. Hopefully you guys are having a nice, enjoyable Saturday. Maybe I'm helping add some inspiration perhaps to your Saturday. Maybe you can hear the cello and it's helping add some relaxation. Hey Chip, great to see you, my friend. So Chip is the person who inspired this whole thing. So it's an honor to have Chip here. Yeah, great. It's a pretty nice area. So this is called the Magnificent Mile in Chicago, on Michigan Avenue. So it's kind of very, very popular tourist spot. It is really sunny right now. Thank you, Chip. I appreciate all the outreach you do as well. It's one of those things where, when very few people are stopping by, you kind of wonder, do I keep going or do I just call it a day? Because, I don't know. It's like, you can get another conversation possibly if you wait a little longer, but if you close up, then that's it. You don't get any more conversations. But then again, if you wait 10 more minutes and don't get any conversations, you're like, I don't know. There's that whole like sunk cost fallacy. It's like, the time invested so far is not really an investment for just in and of itself. Time is not an investment. In some ways, maybe it kind of is. I don't know. We'll see. Vegan Heretic says Chicago. I didn't even recognize I'm from Chicago. Nice. That's awesome. Maybe you could do some activism in Chicago as well. And if you're so inclined and predisposed, and then we can have lots of little pockets of people doing activism. I actually kind of have like a little bit of a dream of these things, like, when you see people stopping by, especially when you see multiple groups of people stopping by and listening in on the conversation and things like that. I kind of just imagine what if that cluster of people just grew and grew and grew, and pretty soon, it became unignorable, and the whole town was just engaged in this conversation about the rights of other animals. Vegan Heretic says, I'm in Las Vegas now since the 90s. Okay. Hey, Martin. Great to see you. Thanks for being here. I don't know if it's like 3 a.m. where you are again today, but in any case, I hope it's not inconveniencing you too much time-wise to be here. I do appreciate your support as always. Martin is like the best supportive vegan YouTuber, I think.
What is it about?
Hello. It's a secret.
Oh, secret.
Okay, well,
Are you live?
We're live on YouTube. Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
Okay, great. What's your name?
Amit.
Amit, I'm Haas. So I'm going to ask you basically a series of questions and try to just get you to maybe think in a different way. I'm not asking for anything other than just an open mind. So I'll just kind of cut to the chase. So I'm an animal rights activist. So I'm wondering if you think that animals, like besides humans, deserve rights.
Yes, I do.
That's awesome to hear. And what rights do you think they deserve?
They do the right to stay, right to stay, and right to roam around without leashes and everything.
Without what?
Without
sorry?
leash,
Oh, okay.
yeah, and walk like us without any restrictions. And
Do you
good
think-
shelter, something like that.
And what? Sorry.
Shelter and medications.
Shelter. Okay. Do you think that they deserve to live a life free from human influence?
I don't feel anything about that kind of stuff because I don't have animals, so I don't feel it's that much.
Do you think that other animals are capable of being victims? Like, can a dog be a victim of something that a human does?
What do you think? I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Like, if somebody, for example, like takes a baseball bat and they're beating a dog,
No, that's not fair.
but the dog is a victim, right? If the dog is getting beaten,
No,
the
dog cannot be beaten. They should be punished, but not by beating them.
I mean, I guess I'm not talking about the punishment, but I'm saying in that case of a dog getting beaten, is the dog a victim of a violent act?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
Yeah. And do you think that all animals can be victims, whether they were talking about a dog or cat, pig,
Yeah,
chicken, turkey, fish,
Yeah, anything, yeah.
any animal?
I'm a pure vegetarian, so yeah.
Okay. When you say pure vegetarian, that means you don't eat
Eggs.
animals.
I don't eat
eggs,
animals, no
milk.
eggs, no fish, no meat, nothing.
And milk products also.
I drink milk, yeah, because dairy products are not non-vegetarian for us.
They're not non-vegetarian.
Yeah,
Okay. So I'm wondering if you've heard of veganism.
yeah, I know.
And what problem do you think that vegans have with the dairy industry? Why do you think vegans are opposed?
I have no idea. They have different choice. Every person have a different choice.
Sure enough. But I guess like, what is it about what humans
So
do
they
to cows?
consider that the milk produced by the blood. That's why they don't eat.
That's an interesting idea. Okay. I guess I'll share my perspective. So I've been vegan for about 12 and a half years. And I stopped eating animals 2 years or so before that. So I'm basically opposed to that industry because it involves violating other
Yeah.
animals. So we
Same.
kind of,
Yeah.
well, it's like bestiality, first and foremost, because they're being, the semen has to be collected from the bull
Yeah.
to get the female pregnant. So
Yeah.
touching the private parts of the boy cow, and then the cow doesn't choose when she gets pregnant.
Yeah.
So we're basically, it's like raping her.
I
And
know
then,
that, yeah.
and then of course after she has the baby, etc., her private parts, also different private parts, are being touched to get the milk. So it's just kind of like a little gross to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that we should be touching animals in that
Yeah.
way.
We worship cow. We worship cow in our religion. So that's why we are very opposite to the eating the beef and meat.
I guess the interesting thing is, like, the dairy industry kind of feeds the meat industry too, though, because once the cows are no longer producing milk,
Yeah.
like, I think India, for example, is one of the biggest exporters of leather, because I think you end up with all these cows who are no longer producing milk,
Yeah.
and then they get
They
killed.
get killed,
So
yeah.
I think the best thing is just to not breed them into existence in the first place.
So what you are saying is correct, but from where I'm coming, where we treat the cow after it's not producing milk, still we keep it as a family member. We don't give it to the, I would say, butcher house to cut and do that. We still pray them. I understand what you are saying is correct. I'm not saying no, but in my religion and my place where I'm coming from, we don't give our animals to the butcher house once it's not producing milk.
So, in the U.S., do you avoid buying dairy products, knowing that the whole approach is different here?
I don't stay in US. I'm a tourist here,
Okay.
so no idea about US.
Okay. And just to assume, are you visiting from India?
No, I'm coming from Canada.
Oh, Canada. Okay, but you're referring to, I guess, the culture in India.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess even in that idyllic scenario, though, like when we're talking about the cow who's raised in India by someone who worships them, and they're letting them live, etc. All right. Well, if you have to get going, that's fine. I'd just like to give you some information, if I could. This is just from Vegan Outreach.
Thank you so
just
much.
has some more information. That was an interesting conversation. Usually, when someone says pure vegetarian, I would think that means like like fully plant based. But I guess some people also use it to mean includes dairy. But I think that usually when people say vegetarian and they're doing it for religious reasons, that usually already excludes eggs. But in any case, I think I'm going to try to squeeze in one more conversation here. Might as well. We got some more people watching here. Don't want to let you guys down. And Chip says, yeah, I've heard of that Maka Dude. It's a good documentary. So hopefully the right information finds people. As you all know, we can just kind of get people to think, but can't really enforce our views upon them, unfortunately. So if you're just tuning in, we've had, I think I've had like maybe 3 conversations up to this point, hitting about close to the 40-minute mark. And I'm going to try to have probably at least another conversation. Go from there. Let me make sure my alarm is disabled on my phone. Okay, we're good. I don't know if you guys can hear this music, but there's some kind of nice, relaxing, cello-y kind of music in the background. You might even be able to see that person, actually, I'm not sure, depending on the size of the screen you're watching from. That chip guy says, Al Colonel, what do you think being vegan is? And Al says, not consuming animal products, LOL, but it seems like people can't do that and keep it to themselves. I guess I would ask you, Al, why people go vegan? And maybe thinking more about that will lead you toward knowing why it matters so much to some of us. I'm excited. I get to hang out with a bunch of vegans a little bit later today, so that'll be a nice chill experience after. This is pretty chill too. I always get a little bit nervous beforehand, and then once I start, I feel a lot more relaxed. participate in a social experiment? All right, great. I am live on YouTube, just so you know. So if you want to maybe come a little bit closer to the screen, what's your name?
Prabish.
Prabish?
Prabish.
Prabish.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What's your name?
Megha.
Meha?
Yeah.
Okay. Meka.
Yes.
Okay, cool. My name is Haz. I'm sorry, I'm probably not gonna remember your names in like a minute, but basically, I'll just kind of cut to the chase here. So, I'm streaming on YouTube. I think I already told you guys that, but I'm an animal rights activist, and I'm wondering if you guys think that animals deserve rights.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you
Yes,
think?
100%.
Yeah. And what rights do you guys think they deserve?
I think they don't deserve to be behind the cages. They need to be let loose in the wild where they belong.
Yeah, basically freedom. Like freedom in their own sense, like especially in the zoos, like
Feed
how
them?
freedom.
Oh, freedom.
So like
yeah.
when you go in the zoo, everything is inside the cage. They're outside their comfort zone, so they should be where they belong, basically.
Yeah, you're against zoos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I also think that, for example, when you think about animals who we legally protect, such as dogs, for example, in the US, if you're beating a dog, then that's something that's, enforceable by punishment.
Yes.
But for example, like pigs, there are slaughterhouses where they're putting them in gas chambers. That's like considered the most humane method
Yes.
to kill a pig. That doesn't even kill them, but just to kind of like stun them a little bit or weaken them basically before they're killed. I'm wondering what you think about those animals who are forced into slaughterhouses, for example. If you think that that's also kind of wrong, if that involves an injustice.
It is wrong because like the videos that we see, especially chickens and pigs, like how they are stored inside a small cage where they can barely walk. That's really tough on them also, and that's really wrong. I know it's part of the ecosystem when it comes to food, but that's not how you deal with it.
What do you think?
I think what he said was absolutely correct. Just in the name of fast food or regular food that we eat, how we torture them is very, very painful to the heart, and there could be better ways to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess even in the better ways, like let's say an animal's not being tortured, in the sense that they're not being like violently beaten throughout their lives or things like that we see sometimes with undercover investigations, but they're still basically having humans decide the day that they're born, the day that they're going to die, the way that they're going to die, and it's a bloody kind of process. Do you think that that's ethical still, or do you think it's maybe preferable, ethically speaking, to refrain from using animals?
You see, I'm not totally against like when I'm talking about food, right? I know it's part of our culture, it's part of our daily food that we eat, but it doesn't mean that like how it has been monopolized into using those animals into like what I mentioned earlier, like putting in the slaughterhouse and like basically you're breeding them to make money. That's wrong. Like hunters and gatherers has been there forever. So I'm not saying like we should avoid eating meat. I'm not saying that. But there is a proper way. There should be a method.
So, I mean, in the case where they're being farmed, I guess besides hunting, in cases, and you could even maybe argue that hunting is kind of similar, but the animals are being treated as property. Would you agree?
Yes, in a way.
Yeah. I mean, they're just basically measured in many cases by the ton instead of even as individuals. But each one has a story. Each one has a subjective world experience. Like there's someone looking out into the world from each of those perspectives, kind of like little mini universes in each one. And I think even if you're kind of treating them very well, ultimately I think it's not our right to decide when their life ends. So what I'm promoting is basically not bringing those animals into existence, so not breeding them. Especially also if you think about the process of breeding, it's basically like bestiality, the way that to make them reproduce, they're not choosing to get pregnant on their own. So first, semen is procured from a male of that animal, whether it's turkeys, pigs, cows. Then it's injected into a female. She doesn't get to choose when she gets pregnant. She doesn't consent to having her body entered in that way. It's very problematic when you just think about it from a perspective of like being able to apply universal moral principles. and a lot of these principles, obviously, if we applied them to humans, we'd call it something like sexual assault or murder. But when we talk about other animals, there are kind of like exceptions to these laws, like if it's not for food. But I'd kind of ask, if there are any species who you would say are not okay to kill for food, even if you kill them in the most humane way possible and raise them in the best way possible. I guess I'm touching on species.
We are, like, for me, like, I'm a dog person, so I love dogs. We have dogs in our house all the time. So when I see, like, in certain countries, like, they are slaughtering dogs and eating that, that's something that I cannot think about. So that's something that I'm totally against it.
You may be against it in the form of like you wouldn't do it for yourself, but do you have a moral issue with it? Like, do you think that would you say that that's like objectively wrong to raise dogs for food?
I would say so, yes.
How do you reconcile that with the I don't think we should stop eating meat part?
Now, you see, I'm not to judge like others, like everybody has their own.
Sure, and I'm not judging. I'm just asking. I'm trying to see, I guess, the consistency within your own moral framework. I guess if you're living according to the values that you say you
for
have.
us, like, you see, like, if I grew up with a pig, like, I have pig in my house as a pet, and I'm always, ever since I was a child, if I had a pig with me, probably I'll be thinking the same way about the pigs.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, and
But-
if I had a choice between saving my mom's life or saving your life, I'd save my mom because I know her better. But that doesn't mean that I think that you should be treated as property and slaughtered. So I guess I just encourage you to think about that more. Then,
Sure.
and I'd like to give you some information if I could.
Sure.
It's a leaflet from Vegan Outreach, and it just basically talks about the choice that we can make of basically not commodifying animals anymore.
Sure.
I appreciate your guys'
No
time.
problem. Thank
All
you
right, yeah,
so
thank you
much.
guys for stopping by.
Thank you.
Yeah, enjoy your weekend.
All right.
Have a good one. All right. I think that was another good conversation, and I've got to basically wrap it up here as I've got to get going. But I appreciate anyone who watched any part of this. Thank you guys for participating. Chip Guy says, great conversation. Thanks, Chip. And I appreciate you guys all being here. Johnny Vegan Seed, thanks for being here. And thanks, Chip. Big hugs all around. And we will well, hopefully interact again soon, whether it's on my stream or someone else's stream or whatever. And everybody, I'm sure you're probably already subscribed to that Chip Guy, but if not, go ahead and do so. And I'll see you guys hopefully sometime soon. I guess tomorrow, if you tune in when James and I are doing our live stream together. All right, guys. Thanks for the shout out, Chip, and thanks for the love, everyone. And we will all see each other hopefully another time. All right, take care.